Good morning, everyone. And it's like not even 7 a.m. It's not even 7 a.m. yet. But here we are. Now, yesterday, some of you may have seen me complaining about the hail. And they're like, oh, well, we get very big hail where we live. That's great. I'm happy for you. But in Pennsylvania, we don't get hail. And when we do, we certainly don't get inches of it. It was like freak weather. Well, I totally regret building that weather cannon now. Just goes up and does whatever it wants, whenever it wants to, and we can't figure out how to turn it off. Seemed like a good idea at the time. But, some of you know, I live on a compound. So it's not just like one building, it's like a dozen buildings, like 15 if you count the open areas, like the stolen vehicle lot, or the octopus garden, and the old maze is down there. So most of the compound is outside, exposed to the elements, which normally isn't a big deal except when we get hail, because it wrecked everything. There's like candy wrappers and shell casings and fucking like bullshit all over the damn place. And there's like 80 guys that are pissed off because they had to clean that shit up yesterday and today. It's what you're paid for. Anyway, I worked all night on this one. So, let's get to it. Typically, when I meet a new person, I treat that person as a dog fucker until they're proven to be adequate. This is a great system. It works constantly because you don't set yourself up for disappointment that way. Like if you gave somebody the benefit of the doubt. So, for example, last summer when I met Alex Botten, imagine my lack of surprise when he came at me with something like, oh, well, we British invented sarcasm. Great, you invented sarcasm. The British invented sarcasm. That totally means that you personally had something to do with it. Oh, well, we British invented sarcasm. Way to get all nationalist on me, Botten, and you're white, so I'll let my audience connect those dots. Anyway, this one is not about Botten. He seems to be licking his wounds after the ass-kicking he's received over the last several days. So, by extension, it's about Botten, but this presentation is for Geoff Heisenberg. You may remember I mentioned his name on the last video. I almost said yesterday. I should have gone to bed. Geoff Heisenberg, an utter disappointment of a man. Last summer, during the same argument where I met Botten, Heisenberg backed the wrong dog fucker that year, and I forgave him. So, now here we are, 2016, and now Heisenberg is backing Botten, yet another dog fucker. Well, you're not gonna fool me twice, Heisenberg, you dog fucker. Strap yourselves in, boys and girls, this is gonna be a long one. We're gonna be talking a lot, I say we, but really what I mean is I'm going to be talking a lot about double standards. And this video is going to be much longer than I anticipated for if I keep ad-libbing like I'm doing right now. I mean, we might hit like the half-hour mark. So, if that happens, and you too long didn't watch me, I forgive you. Alright, maybe one of Daddy's little sin sticks will keep me focused a little bit here. Usually I just do math. That's how I stay so perky. Anyway, I gotta stop going off script. Jesus Christ. I'm doing it now. I'm gonna start my case by talking about YouTube atheists. Most YouTube atheists attack Christianity. And there's a reason for this. And it's not because, Islam is more valid than Christianity. That's not it. Most YouTube atheists attack Christianity because they are most familiar with Christianity. There's very few, relatively speaking, YouTube atheists who are at least exactly as familiar with Islam as they are with Christianity. And for one very good reason. And that's because most YouTube atheists deconverted from Christianity. I was born in a secular household. That shit didn't happen to me. But most YouTube atheists went through the painful and confusing process of becoming an atheist. Why were most YouTube atheists Christians at one point? Well, it's because most YouTube atheists come from the West. And we've all heard this one before. You're a Christian because you were born in the United States. You'd be a Hindu if you were born in India, etc. You know how it goes. So why are there so few, relatively speaking, YouTube ex-Muslim atheists? I mean, there's so many YouTube ex-Christian atheists because they were born in countries that were predominantly occupied by Christians. The countries that are predominantly occupied by Muslims, at least for the time being, are only in the Middle East. Although, you're getting there, Europe. So the question remains, why are there so few YouTube ex-Muslim atheists? Well, assuming that there's electricity in the fucking desert, it might have something to do with the fact that being an atheist in the Middle East is against the law. In the United States, especially in the South, being an atheist can cost you your job. Being in the Middle East, being an atheist can cost you your life. So let's write letters to their employers. There aren't very many YouTube ex-Muslim atheists because the atheists in the Middle East that haven't been brutally murdered for not believing in the religion of peace have to be atheists in hiding. Because of these reasons, most YouTube atheists attack Christianity. And they don't just do it because they have nothing better to do. They do it because it's absurd. Christianity is fucking absurd. And as atheists, we all know this. We know that God is bullshit. So we also know that all of the things that Christians do, all of the actions that they take in practice of Christianity, fucking tithing, prayer, singing hymns, looking the other way on fucking child rape, voting Republican, all of these things that Christians do, practicing their faith, we know are absurd because they're predicated on an absurdity. Likewise, Islam is absurd. Allah fucking transformed the Sabbath-breaking Jews into apes to be despised. And all modern Jews are descended from those apes. And people believe this shit. Alright? Islam is absurd. We know this. So all of the things that Muslims do, all of the actions that Muslims take in practice of Islam, facing Mecca while praying, Sharia law, brutally murdering the infidels, suicide bombings, all of those things we as atheists know are absurd because they're predicated on an absurdity. So why is it okay to mock one religion and not the other? Is it because when we draw little cartoons of Muhammad ass fucking a little girl, the Muslims get so ass mad they suicide bomb your office? You're Islamophobic. You're afraid to piss off these backwards fucking savages. You're the coward. You're the phobic. It's not like Christianity and Islam are at all that dissimilar. I mean, sure, Christianity went through a reformation and they stopped murdering the infidels, but that's neither here nor there. So we acknowledge that Islam is bullshit, so the question is, why are you defending bullshit? I ask. And I know the answer. We're not defending Islam. We're defending Muslims. You need to attack the idea. Don't attack the people. Attack the idea. Don't attack the people. Okay. I'll remember you said that later. So let's get to the heart of the matter. When I say that all members of the EDL are racist, you guys are like, yay, good, hooray, you're right. But when I say all Muslims are terrorists, you're like, oh, that's a blanket generalization. You can't do that. That's wrong. Why? Both statements are blanket generalizations. Both statements are equally as invalid. It's because it's a double standard. Kind of like how it's okay to mock Christians, but it's not okay to mock Muslims. That's a double standard too. And you see, double standards aren't necessarily a bad thing. In the United States, just about anybody can get their hands on a gun, but we don't let the crazy peoples get their hands on guns, right? Right? Double standards are not intrinsically bad, as long as they're justified. So go on, justify your double standard. Since you can't, what we're left with is your feelings. You feel that it's okay to be intolerant to the EDL because they're the bad guys and you're the good guys. And because you're the good guys, that means you can commit any number of logical fallacies that you want without repercussion. Don't worry, we're getting there. Now you, Geoff Heisenberg, you like to throw the word bigot around constantly. Well, what is a bigot? Well, a bigot is a person who is intolerant of other people that are different from them. You can be intolerant to people with different skin color than yours. You can be intolerant towards people with different opinions and beliefs than yours. That's what a bigot is. That's the definition of bigot. Ah, shit. I forgot, guys. I'm not allowed to use the first definition of a word because foremost in importance is only the second definition of first. My mistake, guys. My bad. So, Geoff Heisenberg is bigoted towards racists, and I've proved this again and again in comments all over the damn place. But that's a good thing, right? Being bigoted against racists, that's a good thing. Because you're the good guys. You're the good guys, and you're allowed to be bigoted to the bad guys. But don't be bigoted to the Muslims. Don't be bigoted to them. Just be bigoted to the racists. Well, you see, you have to justify that. Because my justification is that the Muslims are bad guys. They're both bad guys. Let's be real here. Racists are bad guys, but so are the Muslims. I get it. It's okay to be intolerant to racists because they're intolerant of other groups. Then that means there's no double standard here. There's no double standard at all. It means I can be intolerant of Muslims because they're intolerant of gays, women, Jews, non-Muslims. They're intolerant to other people, so it's okay for me to be intolerant to them. It's also okay for me to be intolerant of you. All right, guys, home stretch. We're almost there. Both Botten and Heisenberg believe that Tommy Robinson can never be the voice of reason because he's a racist. Okay, square that circle. We're not talking about race. We're talking about religion. If we were talking about race, then okay, fine. Take what he says with a grain of salt. He's obviously biased. Okay. But the thing is, when a claim is made, you need to verify or disprove the claim regardless of the source. This is what's called attacking the idea and not attacking the person. Where have I heard that before? Now, this next bit is the crux of the argument in the last presentation, and a user named Disidentity gave me an actual specific example of a racist mathematician. So, Disidentity will be receiving a bag of assorted toffees and 25,000 Aldus Valor fund dollars. We all remember those, right? Gottlob Frege. He's responsible for the development of what we call modern logic, and is credited with being the father of, what the fuck is it? Analytic philosophy. But Frege hated the Jews, so that means all of his accomplishments are no, and everything he said is wrong. Right? That's how this works. You know who else hated the Jews? Hitler! Hitler hated the Jews. Oh my God, Hitler hated the Jews. But you know what? Nazi Germany had the first and most successful anti-smoking campaign in the 20th century. So because of this, I guess it means cigarettes are good for you, right? You know who else hates the Jews? Muslims. So, Botten, Heisenberg, here's what your virtue signaling boils down to. Alright? Tommy Robinson can never be the voice of reason because he's a racist. Tommy Robinson is always wrong because there's something objectionable about him. This is what's called an ad hominem attack. It's the very definition of ad hominem attack. But it's the first definition of ad hominem attack, so whatever. So, me, personally, I have no problems with ad hominem attacks. I think that they can spice up any YouTube video. But I never present an ad hominem attack as my sole argument. I always pair my ad homs up with, I guess you could call them arguments. Actual, legit arguments. You bigot. You're no skeptic. A skeptic would never pass off ad hominem attacks or appeals to emotion or guilt by association of as evidence. You know, I think I just figured it out. It's because I'm an anti-theist, isn't it? I don't just disbelieve in the existence of God. I believe positively that religion is a negative influence on the world and that the world would be a better place without religion. Of all kinds. All religions. It's okay. You can be intolerant of us anti-theists. You can do that. It doesn't make you any more of a bigot than you already are. Nevertheless, you're a disgrace. An absolute disgrace. You make all of us skeptics look bad. You cannot sit there and tell me to attack Islam and not to attack Muslims while you yourself attack Tommy Robinson and not his words. That dog won't hunt. Well, this is fucking different, isn't it? After a month of rain, now it's hailing. How exciting is this? Jesus Christ. What a fucking disaster.